This is the closest thing you're going to get from me that's a spoiler. I don't know what movie these people watched, but there's none of that in this movie. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Hey, what's going on? It's Adam from RaidersOfTheLostFlix.com, and I just got back from seeing Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess I have to preface this review by saying my experience with Sonic the Hedgehog is minimal. I played the original game on my friend's Sega Genesis when I was a kid. I had a Nintendo, I didn't have a Sega Genesis. I thought Sonic the Hedgehog was a pretty fun platformer type game. I currently have Sonic Mania on the Nintendo Switch, and I have a bit of a love-hate relationship for that game because as much as I love it, man, I suck at it. That's kind of the extent of my Sonic lore. So going into this, I didn't have any expectations other than what was happening in the media when the first trailer dropped and it literally broke the internet. People lost their mind at how awful that trailer was. And it was a bad trailer just from its poor choice of music, its cynical approach, its unbelievable disconnect of studios constantly trying to reinvent the wheel when all they have to do is give fans what they want. But when that happened, something strange happened. The director said, you know what? You're right. We're gonna do this. I got this. I got you. I'm gonna fix this. That's exactly what he did. They went back to the drawing board and they made Sonic look more like the character from the video games. A very prominent long list of video games at that. And people changed their attitude towards this movie. In fact, some people were actually looking forward to it. Now, one thing I had in common going into this movie all along is that, oh boy, Jim Carrey acting like Jim Carrey again. That's exciting because it's been a hot minute since we've seen Jim Carrey do anything that wasn't serious or dramatic or trying to chase an Oscar, but in this one, I'm happy to say Jim Carrey is doing what he's good at. I mean, Jim Carrey is the very definition of chewing the scenery, and oh, what a joy it is to watch him chew the heck out of the scenery. Sonic the Hedgehog is based on the character from the video game. It stars James Marsden, Jim Carrey, Adam Pally. Sonic the Hedgehog is directed by Jeff Fowler, and it stars Sonic, a creature from another dimension where animals that talk and look like video games is kind of a normal everyday thing, goes through a portal that's opened by these rings because he's a very powerful creature that's in a lot of danger, so he's forced to live in our world. It's not necessarily an origin story, and it's not necessarily a setup movie. This isn't really a fish out of water story. Sonic the Hedgehog just kind of lives in this world in Montana. He's by himself. He mostly entertains himself, keeps to himself, though occasionally running into the occasional creature from time to time, but he's alone because he's the only one of his kind. Though due to his unusual strength and speed and ability to run so fast that he can produce an EMP blast, the evil Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, wants to get his hands on this creature and experiment him to harness the creature for raw power to power his evil machinery. This is 100% a kid's movie, and I'm happy to say that I thought it was pretty good. I was entertained by this movie. I had no expectations going in. I told you my Sonic the Hedgehog knowledge going in is probably better because I don't like to be influenced by outside sources. Sonic the Hedgehog is voiced by John Ralphio from Parks and Recreation.
No way. Yesterday, if you would have asked me, I would have said no, but thank God my grandfather just died, so I am a flush with cash.
Of course I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I thought he was charming, though at times he can tend to be a little bit much. I still enjoyed him because the little bit much is actually part of his character, and it's also an important part of the story. What I liked about this movie is even though it's definitely aimed at, I would say, between an 8 and 12-year-old audience, the adults can enjoy it too because there's setup and payoff. There's no plot holes. Let's face it, it's not Dolittle. It's a way better movie than Dolittle. I don't want to sell this movie short. It's actually pretty good. I was happy to see the way they incorporated video game elements into the movie. It wasn't just like, oh, hey, remember the video game? This is a video game. Do you want to play the video game with us? No, they actually worked those elements into the story, the script, to where it made sense. For example, the rings. their portals so he can get out of danger. I mean, it works for this story. It really does. I liked the chemistry between Wachowski and Sonic. I thought it worked. It was kind of like I was watching a buddy movie, you know, and it works. It's charming. These two eventually develop a friendship out of thin air, but it's not, you know, it's set up properly. I like this relationship between James Marsden and Tika Sumpter. They were a cute couple. I enjoyed watching them together. I didn't feel like the music was too obtrusive in this movie. I felt like everything was set up well. There was some really good special effects with Robotnik's vehicles and stuff like that. Like, I really liked the tech. It was reminding me a lot of the drones from that movie Oblivion with Tom Cruise.
Tech 49 Jack Harper.
It was really cool, but I think my favorite part of this movie was actually James Marsden. I thought he was very funny in the lead. Most of the time he's relegated to supporting characters, but in this one he really brings a kind of subdued humor that I think works for this movie. Honestly, can I say this might actually be the best video game adaptation since Silent Hill? Most video game adaptations seem kind of weak or flat or forced or dumb. This one seems to respect the universe that it comes from, and even though Sonic is in our world, they're not boring us with another damn fish out of water movie. I like that. Wow, Sonic the Hedgehog finally cracked the code to not make a crappy video game movie. Wow, you broke the code! When we first see Sonic, we see a little bit of his background. He's telling the story. I got a little nervous at first because it's like, oh, it's the narration thing again. Oh, we did that in Birds of Prey. Here we go, we're doing it again. But it's not throughout. It's just done to set up the character, and then it stops. The rest of it, we're watching Sonic in real time. So by the time we see Sonic, he's been living in our world for 10 years. Like, he's aware of our pop culture. He knows the TV shows, the references. So all the jokes when he tells them, like, you know, he knows what he's talking about. It's not like you're spending an entire movie like, oh wow, look, a microwave or something dumb like that. No, he's aware of his surroundings. He wants to be a part of it, but he has to hide because of this unusual power that he has. So when he gets a little bit too excited, people are aware of his whereabouts and people get scared, and of course the government comes out, and then they employ goons like Jim Carrey to come out and try to stop him. And of course Jim Carrey is an absolute jerk in this movie, but boy is he funny. And I forgot how funny he was. You know, Jim Carrey, your art is being funny. Do your art. Stop trying to chase Oscars. Stop trying to be serious. I know comedians always want to be serious. They always want to show people that they're not just goofy, but your type of goofy makes people happy. It brings people happiness, and it's fun to see him back in this role. I hear Jim Carrey wants to do another Mask movie. I made a video about that people still leave comments on. Hey, if this is a taste of what Jim Carrey still has left to offer, bro, bring it. I'll be in front seat watching that Mask sequel.
You love me. You really love me.
I'm happy to say that he's back, and I think that's another big draw for me for this movie, was seeing Jim Carrey be funny Jim Carrey again. It was really rewarding. But yeah, I wasn't bored or annoyed. I had a good time watching it. There's a lot of kids in the audience. Of course, it's probably about 50% kids. They seem to be getting a kick out of it too. If I had to put a score on this movie, I think I'd give it a 4 out of 5 cheese curds. It's definitely a provolone. I think it's earned it. I think this is a safe movie to go see with your kids. It's definitely better than Birds of Prey, but no, it really is an entertaining movie for kids. It's so much better than Dolittle. I'm happy to have finally seen a movie this year that's a kids movie that I actually like. You'll want to stick out this movie. You want to see it through the post-credit sequence. There is a little bit of surprise for there. So the only reason I'm not giving it a 5 out of 5 cheese curds is there's a couple of jokes that don't really land for me, but for the most part, I enjoyed what I saw. It was a good time. I can definitely recommend this, and I hope this movie actually does do well, because it's a sign that if you respect the fans, if you want people to see your movie, respect the fandom that these things come from. Stop taking these IPs and trying to tell the audience what they're supposed to like. Give them what they want. Listen to the damn fans. That's all we've ever been saying, is respect your fans. I don't feel like anybody that even has a passing interest in Sonic the Hedgehog is going to be offended by this movie. It's a movie that knows what it is. It's an action comedy that's aimed at children, and I think it succeeds at that, and it makes me happy to say that. Anyways, what do you guys think? Are you gonna go see Sonic the Hedgehog this weekend? If you've seen it already, leave me a comment down below. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out, and make sure you give me a subscription if you haven't done so already so you can get more reviews from yours truly. You guys have yourselves a groovy weekend, and this is the Groovinator signing out. Peace.